Okay. Hey guys, so this video is a video response in regards to a video that came up on my timeline of a YouTuber that I recently subscribed to. And this is a male, and I'm trying to get my notes. He's he is a Ghanaian, I believe, and the topic or the title of the video is How Americans View Africans. And his channel is, from what I'm guessing from what he put on his intro, is a freedom of speech channel where he's basically expressing how he feels and his opinion, which, hey, it's cool with me. So in this specific video, at the beginning, there is a guy who goes by the name of the Great Kwame, and I don't know how he is intertwined to the channel. They may be doing videos together, I'm not sure, but he speaks first and then Jaganzi speaks after. And so yeah, but the topic, like I said, was how Americans view Africans, and it automatically drew me to it because I just wanted to see what this person or what he had to say. So what he said was, and when I say he, I'm speaking of the great first Kwame. What he said, I mean, it hit home. Like everything he said, I was like I definitely feel you 100%. Like, no doubt, what you're saying has happened. I've experienced it. So, and I've spoken out to it about my friends. So, and I just felt like I needed to go ahead and say something on my channel as well, and then do a video response about it. So I'm pretty sure, or I'm not gonna say I'm pretty sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if my comments offend some people. I don't know. Hopefully they won't, because by no means am I trying to offend anybody. I'm just trying to share my view and my opinion as being African. But I don't know. Anyways, so let me just go ahead and get into it. So, excuse me. So, those of you who follow my channel know that I am a Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria, but I was raised in America, in Greensboro, North Carolina. I moved to America when I was like 3 or 4. And at the time, my mother said that when we first came, me and my brother, we pretty much couldn't speak any English. The little language that we did learn at that time, or the speech that we learned, was Yoruba, and we were speaking it, you know, a little bit, little by little. But in regards to English, we weren't speaking that. And so when we got to classes, of course, or started going to school, my mom, or daycare, should I say, or Head Starts, my mom said that we really weren't talking. We were somewhat mute for whatever reason. It might have been like a culture shock. I'm not quite sure what the situation was. But she said eventually one day we started talking. So when he said, when Kwame started talking about how when he came here and he went to school, the teacher paired him up with a boy named Willie, and how Willie would ask him stupid questions. And I just started laughing because I know exactly what the stupid questions were. And my dad all the time talks about how we get asked stupid questions. How he was asked stupid questions when he first came to America and went to A&T, so it's not a surprise. One of the biggest things that I hear and that irritates me is that they speak of me being from Africa, or Africans, as it being a country. Like, everybody that's African is from the same place. We're from the continent Africa, which I don't know if people really understand. Africa is a continent. There's plenty of countries in Africa. I mean, there's about, I think, 54 maybe. I can't remember the exact number, but I think it was 54. And Africa is like the second largest continent in the world. So for people to always just assume, oh, she's from Africa. I don't mind people saying I'm from Africa, because I am, but I'd rather you specify where I'm from when if you're gonna talk about where I'm from. So if you want to call me African, cool, but also know that I'm Nigerian. So and that's no disrespect to any other country, because like I said, we are all one continent. But I just like to be called what I truly am. And to me, I see it as though if my homegirl who was born in North Carolina or whatever, not even North Carolina, born in the United States, if I say, oh, you're North American, does that make, I mean, nobody says you're North American. They say you're American. So, and just think about the continent of North America. I mean, seriously. But either way, that was one of the biggest things that used to drive me nuts. I've kind of gotten over it now as I've gotten older, so it doesn't bother me that much, but still sometimes it depends on who it's coming from. It'll strike a nerve. Another thing that I hear all the time is if I know somebody that lives in Uganda, or the guy said Kenya. I've heard that plenty of times. I'm like, how would I know somebody in Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, wherever? I live in Nigeria, which is, or not, I don't live in Nigeria, but I'm from Nigeria, which is West Africa. I mean, the places you're naming is South Africa, East Africa. I wouldn't know anybody. I mean, I barely know people that live within West Africa to speak of, and you're talking about South Africa and things of that nature. I just feel like it's crazy to throw out a name just because you know another African person and say, do you know this person? Like, I don't know. And I know people don't think before they speak, but that's why your parents always try to stress that you think before you speak, because sometimes what you say may not make sense. Another thing that used to irritate me is the whole clicking. Like, oh, that irritates me to death. Like, my friends know, my dude know, they know if you click around me, I'm going to probably slap you. Like, I'm not gonna slap you hard. Okay, if I'm not pissed off already, like if you ain't coming at me with some stupid nonsense, then I'm not gonna slap you hard. But I will like pluck you real quick, like just so you can wake up and think about, you're clicking towards me. I find it disrespectful and irritating, and I don't know, ignorant, I guess, because me as a Nigerian, our languages that we have, and the language that is from my tribe is Yoruba, and we don't click. So they've never heard my parents click. They've heard them speaking their language, but never heard them click. So I'm trying to figure out where you're getting this clicking from. And I know Uganda has a language that clicks or something like that, but I'm not from Uganda. So don't generalize. That's my problem. And if you're going to imitate us, learn the language before you start imitating us. That's my problem. And on top of all of that, do your history. Like, Nigeria alone has a lot of languages, and the primary language is English. So right now it is. So when you are raised and you go to school there, you're going to learn English, and then you're going to learn, whatever other languages, Yoruba or Igbo, I don't know, whatever it is. And another thing people ask me is, how come I don't have an accent? I wish I had an accent. I really do. Like, I wish I could just turn it on, turn it off. I can't. My sister and my brother can, but I've tried, and it sounds foolish, so I just don't do it. I'm trying to learn how to speak Yoruba now, but even when I learn, it's not going to sound as good as the next person because I don't have that accent. I was raised in America, like I said, so I don't understand why people think I would be born with an accent and carry the accent to the rest of my life. I know people who were raised in Nigeria, came to America, and for whatever reason changed their ways and lost their accent. How you do that, I'm not sure, but if I could lose the accent and gain one, I would try to. Like, I would gain the southern, northern accent that I have and try to get a Yoruba accent. I wish I could. So, I guess that's my reason for not having an accent. I don't know. I just tell them I just don't. I mean, I don't speak the language, so I don't. Now, something that I heard all the time, in elementary school especially, was the whole African booty scratcher thing. As soon as I told somebody I was African and I was from Nigeria, it just, that was the first thing. That whenever someone tried to go ham and want to start throwing shots, oh, you African booty scratcher, that would tick me off. It still ticks me off to this day because I really don't even know where that came from. Like, and I know black people use it in terms with each other when they're trying to be funny, but the fact that it's African in front, and I guess it's just the whole little thing about, Africans in the jungle. Nigeria is not the jungle, FYI, but maybe that's where it came from. I'm not quite sure. But don't say that around me because it's going to irritate me, and I'm probably going to flip on you, and I try my best not to flip. So, yeah, that's something that would immediately push my button. I'm not a booty scratcher. I am African, but I'm not a booty scratcher. So, don't call me that. Okay. Other things. I guess because of what's seen on TV, people assume that, back in Nigeria, we lived in huts. There are Africans that live in huts, but it's not in Nigeria. I mean, and if it is, it's in the village. Like, and I just, we've come, I can't even explain how I feel about that situation. Like, the hut thing, when you see it on TV, does it say Nigeria? Or does it say Ghana or wherever it says? Like, the stuff that you see is stuff that, for whatever reason, they're putting out there, the bad side or not so civilized side of Africa. Don't know why. I mean, I don't see too many things about Nigeria. The last thing I've heard about Nigeria actually in the news is when oh boy tried to do whatever, hack the plane, hijack the plane, or whatever happened. That was the last thing I heard about Nigeria in the news recently. And then something else about, like, you know, money scandals. But money scandals happen all the time. They happen in America. They happen in Nigeria. But if it happens in Nigeria and it's in the news, oh, best believe somebody's going crazy about it, like it didn't happen yesterday in America. But whatever. Anyways, that's just the world we live in, and people are biased about different things. And if you're not familiar with something, of course you're going to look at it differently from what you are familiar with. But no, we don't live in huts. Actually, back home, when I went back to visit, my family has a very huge compound area. I mean, cement, brick houses, tall houses, bigger than the houses here, where you have, you know, the stairs, and you have the garden at the beginning, the dogs, where you have to pretty much be not invited in, but you can't just walk in. And then you have the steps that you have to go through, and the gate, and just, I mean, it's different flats of the house. So I was even surprised myself. I wasn't going to expecting huts, but I wasn't expecting nothing huge like that. So, yeah, the hut thing, I'm over that one all the way. In regards to dusty roads, there are dusty roads, but there are a lot of roads that are paved out with traffic lights, lanes. I don't know what you want to call the things that separate the lanes, that mark the lanes, whatever, the white lines. You have that. You have plenty of cars, Hondas, Benzes, BMWs, Toyota, all of that. Pick up an African movie and go to an African store, pick up an African movie. You will see what Africa's like. You can pick up a Nigerian movie and you can see parts of Ghana in it. You can pick up a Ghanaian movie and see parts of Nigeria in it, vice versa. I mean, pick up a Liberian movie. You'll see what Africa is like, the different parts. If you really, really, really want to see a very nice airport, go to Accra, Ghana, and go to the airport. Very beautiful. I mean, it just irritates me about how sometimes people can be so naive. Like, to me, personally, when I went to Nigeria, immediately what I thought about was a miniature New York, London type thing, a very smaller one. No, we're not on New York's level. We're not on London's level. But I guess, I mean, not guess, but I feel like eventually if things could ever get better and the corruption could stop, it could get like that. I don't know. We have beaches. We have Lucky Beach. We have Victoria Island. We have a lot of stuff that you can do. So a lot of places that you can go, amusement parks. It's not what people think it is. Oh, I just thought about this. Another thing. Freaking smoke signals and throwing spears. Oh my gosh. That irritates me to death. I'll laugh and giggle with you for like 5 seconds. And then I'll put on that straight face like, not funny. Because it's just more naive of people to think that's how Nigerians, Ghanaians, Liberians interact with each other and communicate. You looking at things that happen within like the jungle area, safari area, village area of Africa. Don't look at that, because that's not all of Africa. Don't generalize your opinion of Africa off of that. I hear people say all the time, I have no desire. I have some friends that say, I would love to go to Africa. Then I have some people that say, I have no desire to go. That's all well and good. I'm not forcing you to go to Africa. But if you have no desire to go because of what you see on TV, do your research. If that's your only reason why you have no desire to go. Then again, if you don't do your research, don't comment on Africa. That's my problem. Like, anyways, either way, I'm going to shut up. Now, another thing I hear is, why doesn't my family look African? When people hear my name, first name and last name, my last name's Coker, people say that's not an African name, but Cokers are very well known in Nigeria. The Coker name is very deep, but at the same time, it is an American last name. We have Coker College in South Carolina. You have Coker. I think there's a Coker Beach. There's a Coker Street. There's a lot of white Cokers. But I did my research and I asked my parents. Coker was a name that the slave owners had because they could not pronounce our last name at the time. They gave us their last name. Therefore, our ancestors. This is how all this happened back in slavery time. So, and this was in slaves were in South Carolina, Delaware, different areas. So, our master, whatever you want to call them, masters, whatever you want to call them things, slave owners happened to be in South Carolina, and Coker was the name. Cokers are very, very big in South Carolina as well. So, yeah, when people hear my last name, they're like, that's not an African last name. Okay. How do you know somebody in my family down the line did not marry American? That could be the reason. But that's not the reason, but I'm just saying. Either way, I get you trying to find out and ask questions, but it's the way that you ask the questions. That's my problem. All right. So yeah, I get about my last name, about my family not looking African. I don't know. I don't really know what looking African is. And when I ask people what looking African is, they say black, ugly with nappy hair. Huh, okay. Well, no disrespect to anybody, but I know a lot of Americans that are very ugly. And I hate to call people ugly, but I know a lot of, I'm not even going to say ugly, but I know a lot of Americans that are unattractive, that have nappy hair, if that's what you want to call it. Untamed hair, I don't know. I'd rather say that than nappy. But, that are blacker than a African. But do you go around saying they look African? No. I mean, you just say they don't look good. So that's stupid to me. Then there's a lot of fair-skinned, light-skinned Africans. They're white Africans. They're albino Africans. Like, think about it, people. Like, it just irritates me. I'm trying my best not to like get overly mad, but sometimes that stuff irritates me, especially the you don't look African thing. All right. Speaking of hair, that I was just thinking about that. Whenever I get my hair blown out, my natural hair blown out, people always say, "Oh, you must have some good genes because you don't have African hair." That irritates me too. Like, I think if you tame your hair, if you train your hair, anybody could have a very nice looking texture of hair. Like, yes, my hair was difficult at the very beginning of my transition stage, but I trained it to do what I wanted to do. So I feel like anybody that wants to take the time can do that as well. It's not about race or, I mean, even the mixed kids, the kids that have white moms, black dads, some of them have some dry hair, like dry, untamed hair. But, you know, people expect for biracial people to have pretty hair and look pretty and whatnot. It's not always like that. So I don't think you should judge based off of your descent, nationality, ethnic group, whatever. Now another thing is about heat. Whenever it's hot and we're in the car or outside chilling, people say, "Oh, it's hot as Africa in here." Okay. I just be looking like, that was kind of funny, but not really. Because when I went to Nigeria, it was not as hot as I thought it was going to be. Like, I was under that conception that it was so hot because we're close to the equator, this, that, and the fourth. Cool, true, whatever. It was hot. And we are close to the equator. But what is the United States excuse? Because this summer, as well as last summer, in Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm going to speak of that. It's not even talking about West Coast. Temperatures was like 101 degrees, 103 degrees for like 5 days straight. And what about the equator then? I'm confused. So, I don't know. I don't think, to me, in my opinion, Africa is hotter than America. I feel like the reason is America has centralized air conditioning, whereas not all parts of Africa do. Or I'm speaking of Nigeria. Let me speak of Nigeria. But not all parts of Africa do. I know not all parts of Nigeria do either. So maybe that's why it feels like it's hotter. Plus, I mean, it's very humid, very, very humid in Nigeria. It's humid here too in different parts, like Arizona or whatever the case may be. But that heat thing, don't make it seem like it's just Africa that's hot like that. Like, people having heat strokes in America, they shutting down schools and stuff. So it's definitely a worldwide issue. And then on top of that, when I went, it rained I was there for 2 weeks, and it rained like almost every day. I don't know if it was rain season or not sure, but it rained. So that was another reason why I guess it wasn't so hot. Let's see. Then the whole dancing situation, they automatically think that, you know, when they say, "Oh, I want to learn an African dance," or we have a party and we play African music, they're immediately doing some type of tribal dance. Like, this is the only dance that Africans or Nigerians do. Yeah, there's tribal dances. They are. But, I mean, who does that? I mean, in regards to at parties. I mean, if you're going to do a performance, I get it. But if you're just playing like some WizKid or something, like, we're not going to be sitting there doing a tribal dance. Like, there's different things. I mean, you got Oliver Twist, and then you got the Ghanaian, the Zonto. You got different things. So it's irritating for someone to say, this is how Africans dance. It's very irritating. Now, we eat with our hands only. No, we don't. We have spoons, we have forks, we have knives. We use all those utensils. Now, if you're eating some eba or fufu or amala, of course you're gonna eat that with your hands. That's just how you eat the that dish. I don't know what to tell you. I remember when I was younger, I used to eat with my hands, and then as I got older, depending on what it was, like amala, I don't really care for it that much. It depends on if I have some good stew. I'll use a fork to eat it, just because I feel like the taste doesn't bother me as much, and I'll enjoy it a little bit better. It's weird, but it's a psychological thing, but that's how I think. So, but if I'm eating eba, definitely using my hands for that. Like, it just tastes so much better than using a fork or a spoon. And you just gravitate. Anyways, you wouldn't understand. Well, if you're Nigerian, you would. But anyways, moving on. Let's see. Then the last thing that I definitely can't stand, which Kwame or Giganti mentioned it in their video, is about people starving in Africa. Like, all the time when I'm with my friends and kids want to waste food, automatically, what do you hear them say? Don't waste food. People in Africa are starving. Okay. People in Asia are starving. People in America are starving. There's probably people in Australia that's starving. Canada that's starving. Everywhere. Because you see Africa on TV all the time does not mean that we are the only people that have people starving. If you don't want to waste your food, think about anybody that could be starving. Anybody that's homeless. Don't automatically say Africa just because of what you see on TV with the 50 cents a day type thing and the stomachs and all of that situation. Yes, it is an issue in different areas. I mean, in third world countries, it's going to be an issue. But for you to automatically say Africa, maybe because that's what the brain automatically pops out your head. I don't know what the process is in thinking about behind that. But for me, my friends, if you feel like saying that, think about it before you say it, because I'm going to say something about it. And it's just better off if you don't say it at all. But yeah, that's pretty much my response. I mean, on the topic, that's the things that I dealt with that irritated me growing up and still deal with now. And I'm 25, and I hang with people that are my age, that are older than me, that are younger than me, and different people in different age groups think differently. It's crazy, but I'm not perfect, so I have my things that I think about and that I feel like sometimes I can be stereotypical about, which is wrong. But I'd rather somebody correct me about it than let me continue to say it and know that I'm offending them. So that's just my view. And I also saw something the other day which really, like, I don't know, it really, like, what's the word? I really liked it. And it was on a girl's Instagram picture, another Nigerian. And it said, people say that slaves were taken from Africa. That is not true. People were taken from Africa and were made into slaves. Now, that's the truth. And it makes me think about the whole boat thing. You came here on a boat, fresh off the boat type thing. No, I came here on a plane. But anyways, 14 hours on a plane. But so yeah, that, to me, that statement there, people say that slaves were taken from Africa. That's yeah, I don't agree with that at all. People were taken from Africa and were made slaves. Very, very, very true. So that's just something to think about. And I hope you guys give me a response, or you don't even have to give me a response. I hope you guys feel what I'm saying, where I'm coming from. And if you feel like responding, hey, go for it. But definitely go check out the video. I'm going to put a link to Giganti's channel and the video that I'm doing this response for. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.